Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I mean that. I mean, seriously, how lucky are we? Now, I know there is a lot of pain and strife in this world right now. There is a lot of war happening, and I just want to say I'm so sorry to anybody who is affected by the wars that are currently happening in our world. I am so sorry. I am deeply sorry if you've had loss, if you have worry, if you have stress, if you have pain of any kind on account of what's happening in the world. I am so deeply sorry. And I feel it. I feel it. I'm not a big news watcher because I get a little too upset. Okay, I get a little too upset, churned up about it. It's so horrifying. But I want to mention it here because it is so important that we pray for people who are struggling and hurting and experiencing any kind of negative effects from war. It's awful. So I want to transition from that very heavy topic to something lighter, but I think very important as well, something that affects us very close to home, and that is our relationship with food and especially with self-sabotage. So that's my topic for today. Our relationship with food can feel like a war, right? We can feel very war-torn on account of binge eating. I will tell you, I certainly have. I've felt so war-torn, and I know it's not the same as somebody who's literally in war, but I will say it's a personal hell, and it is a personal fight that, in my experience, has sometimes made me feel like I wanted to end my life. So that's the girl you're talking to right now. Somebody who has gotten so dark and so low with emotional eating and food addiction that it made me not want to live anymore. So it's an intense topic, you know, if we take it to those places. And even though I don't go that serious most of the time, the reason why I'm here at all is because it is that serious. The reason why I'm so passionate about the work I do is because I know that could be your reality. Is that you feel so discouraged and so hopeless and so upset with yourself that some days you don't want to live. So let's dig into this topic. It's super important. And I will also say I have a program coming up. It's a 3-day deep dive retreat online called Make Peace with Food. And you can learn more at makepeacewithfood.live, Live, or go to my website, healyourhunger.com, but don't miss it. If you are struggling, if you feel like you're in the middle of a war with food, join us, get relief, get community, get connected, get loved. Oh my gosh, we need so much love. And join us for the Make Peace with Food retreat. Okay, on with the show, which, by the way, I recorded live in the Secret Sauce group. If you haven't gone to the Secret Sauce group, go to Facebook and type in the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. That's where I recorded this today. On with the show. Beautiful friends, I'm so excited to be here and just drop in and talk about a really important topic, a topic that I think we all need to pay attention to, and I think a topic that really stumps people, and that's self-sabotage. So welcome to anybody in the Secret Sauce group. If you're new here, I'm so happy to be able to say hello to you. I'm happy that you found us. You may have met me through perhaps my podcast or my book, my TEDx talk, a recommendation from a friend. But however you ended up here, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. So if you have had numerous times of eating clean and then blowing it, I want to talk about self-sabotage because that's usually what's happening. Okay, and it's so frustrating, right? So I know this well. And I will say, even if you're eating clean, you can sabotage yourself in other ways. So self-sabotage, what does it look like? Well, I think we're all familiar with it, but let me just play the scenario, one that's familiar to most emotional eaters, and that is eating great for a little while, feeling like oh, I'm doing so well. I'm on a great kick. It's going great. I feel good. I look good. My pants feel great. I never want to go back to the way I was eating before. Ever use the N word? The never word? Yeah. So, and it makes sense when you're feeling good. It makes sense that you feel like, I'm never going to do that again. Like, I'm never going back there. I've said it many times. And then what happens? Well, life gets a little hard. You start wanting the foods that you left behind. You start obsessing about those foods. You're like trying to be good, stay away from them, keep focused, don't distract yourself. Pull out the stops and chew a lot of gum, work out more, whatever. You do whatever it takes, drink a ton of soda pop, whatever. You're pulling out, all the tricks to stay on your clean eating plan. If you know what I'm talking about, please put it in the comment section. Let me know that I'm hitting home here, because I think I'm talking to the right people here. So then, the point is, all those tricks combined, all those efforts, all that running super fast, trying to stay ahead of that little sneaky compulsion that's saying, eat it now, like go get that piece of bread, or, the chocolate is waiting for you, or the Halloween candy is, it's just right there. You don't need that whole bag because very few people come to the door anyway. Might as well just have one. Thanks, Bonnie Joe. So that those voices start, and they're like talking to you and talking to you. And then the day comes when you're like, I just need relief. Just one. I'm just going to eat one. And you go ahead and you eat one of the Halloween candy. And then you're like, that was so good. I'm just going to have one more. Just one more. This is what I call the just one theory, where there's no such thing as just one, right? It's an illusion or a delusion. So then before you know it, we've eaten too much. We feel sick. We're pissed at ourselves. And then we make the promises, the big resolve. Tomorrow I'm eating clean. Tomorrow, no more candy. Getting back on track. And you make a promise to yourself. You're serious. You mean it. You absolutely mean it. And then the next day, it's like because you had a taste of it and it had been a while, and you're like, oh, I really don't want my salad. I want that chocolate again. Like, that's so much yummier than my salad. And before you know it, you are like on this terrible, downward spiral of eating junk food and resisting it and eating it and binging on it and feeling sick and feeling so mad, and the weight goes up again, and you just feel completely demoralized. Like, how did this happen again? Right? Put it in the chat if you know what I'm talking about in the comments. So this, friends, is self-sabotage. It's like, I was doing so good. What happened? Like, why would I do that when I was feeling good? So it sucks, right? This is a crappy pattern, and we have lived through it time and time again. And most of the women I talk to have been at it for literally decades. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, some women 50 years. And if you're in the 20, 30, 40, or 50 range, put it in the chat, okay? This is a nice, beautiful place that we can come and relate with each other. Not everybody can relate to this. So the beautiful thing about the Secret Sauce group is we get it. Like, we get it. We've been there. We've lived it. So why does this happen? I have to say it is confusing. It is confounding, and the point is, it happens because of forces inside of us. Okay, nobody just shoves chocolate in our mouth, obviously. So we're doing this. We are literally going against what we think we want, and we're eating. Now, first of all, we're eating out of a compulsion, like a craving that grows inside of us like a monster and gets so big that you cannot stop it. It's like Katie bar the door. I'm going to eat that. Okay. It starts again, like I described earlier, some cravings, but, swearing off, making sure you don't go there, but it gets louder and louder and harder to resist. Okay. Like a monster, like a dragon inside of you, breathing fire. That's a compulsion. It's a compulsion to eat where truly you don't have power to say no. And a lot of people are beating themselves up. A lot of emotional eaters are beating themselves up because they say yes when they want to say no. I've done it too many times to count. And I want to say, friends, this compulsion is like a monster, and it is something that you don't have power over. So if you're trying to do this by willpower, like use my muscles, I think I have a muscle in there. On my bar method, it's not great. But if you're trying to use your might, your personal will to stop that compulsion, that's like standing at the edge of the beach trying to stop a tsunami. Like, just stop right there, wave. Not going to happen. Okay, so I want to just tell you, stop beating yourself up for not having willpower. I don't have willpower. And if you're like, what? I thought she was going to tell me how to have willpower. No, I don't have willpower. Friends, I'm a hopeless, hope to die, out of control binge eater. I ate in a violent way when I was binging. I ate cookies and chips and ice cream and chocolate, and I ate to excess to the where I thought my stomach was going to pop. Anybody ever feel that? Okay, horrible, horrible, violent eating. That's what happened when I lost control. And of course, I did it in secret. I did it at night when everybody else was asleep. I would literally go to the store at night to a store that stays open 24 hours or till midnight if I could get there in time. But it was ugly, super self-destructive, and really painful to wake up to the reality of the next day. That's the worst part. Waking up, feeling like everything's fine, and then remembering how many calories you packed in the night before. Horrible, horrible stuff. And if you're bulimic, well, then you have that to contend with. Throwing it all up. That's its own kind of hell, right? But the point is, we do this because of this compulsion to eat, and most people don't understand that. They're just trying to teach you how to have control. If they're in the weight loss realm professionally, they're like trying to teach you control. But not everybody has control, and not everybody who struggles with food and weight is in the same place in terms of their level of control. Now, if you've taken the quiz on my website, it's healyourhunger.com. If you take that emotional eating quiz, you'll find out where you are on the spectrum of emotional eating. You're either an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between. Okay? And if you're on the high end of that spectrum, you have lost control. You do not have willpower. You can't pull yourself back and get back on track easily. Okay? And I know you're beating yourself up because of that, but I'm on the high end of that spectrum too. By the grace of God, I'm not binging anymore a day at a time, but I'm not cured either. Like if I don't do the things I teach my clients to do, if I don't follow this step-by-step heal your hunger process, I could be back there, that the monster could awaken. And that's why it's so important to go deeper. It's why it's so important to slay that dragon. So the point is, if you are somebody who has that dragon over time, after you've been good for a little while, that's a part of the self-sabotage. Now that dragon is fed by a few things. It's fed by emotions that have been buried. Okay, emotions buried alive never die. Emotions buried alive never die. So if you are, if you've got turmoil in your life, if you have relationship issues, if you have unhappiness in your job, if you got a kid who's sick or a parent who's sick and you're caretaking your parent, if you have bad news, if you got some financial hardship, you've got stuff that if you're not on top of, if you don't have the right tools to deal with those emotions, friends, it's coming at us real time, very fast. And if you don't have the proper tools to address your emotions in a healthy way, you are stuffing them with food. And emotions buried alive never die. So when you stuff that stuff down, it is feeding that dragon. That compulsion is coming from buried emotions. That's why I spend every waking hour of my life these days. Well, it's been 35 years now that I've been doing this every day of my life. But this is why I'm so passionate about helping emotional eaters, because if you're burying your emotions, if you're blowing off, dealing with your stuff, you are feeding that dragon. You are feeding the dragon, and it's getting hungrier and hungrier. And then you're just trying to stop it like you tried to stop a tsunami, and you got no chance. Okay? So this is where self-sabotage comes from. Unaddressed emotions, stress, of course, by doing too much, because let's face it, if you're an emotional eater, you are a people pleaser and you are an overdoer as well as an overeater, and you're trying to make everybody happy and you're stressing yourself out. And that stress feeds the dragon. Okay? The stress feeds the dragon. Now, what else feeds the dragon? I would say decades of habitually eating instead of dealing. Habitually eating instead of taking care of yourself. Habitually eating for energy, for companionship, for entertainment. All right, these are things that are not, nutritionally necessary. It's like your favorite pastime is to eat. It was mine. Like, oh, I got some extra time. What can I eat? Okay, friends, we have built this habit for decades. And unless we practice new habits, which you don't just turn around and do, you need structure to do that. You need community to do that. You need support to do that. We're talking about, in my opinion, the hardest of all addictive habits to overcome. The hardest. And if you are not getting the proper support and systems, the structure to support you in developing new habits around food, new habits around addressing your emotions and your stress, forget about it. Just go eat bonbons. Just go eat bonbons. Go ahead and eat the chocolate. Don't even try not to. Because just trying not to is a superficial approach and it will fail. In fact, going on a diet will fail. The statistic is 98%. Let's say 95. Let's be conservative. 95% of all diets fail. Forget about having success with your diet. You will self-sabotage if the diet is that's your line of defense against overeating, is a diet. A food plan won't do it, because how many times have you blown it over the past several decades? Too many to count, right? So self-sabotage comes from a deeper place. There are many layers to this thing. We're talking about the hardest of all addictive habits to overcome, which means you're hoping and wishing you do better is not a strategy. Okay, that is not a strategy for success. That is wishful thinking, and it will not get you where you need to go. Aren't you so glad you tuned in? All right, that's my message. Sending you so much love. It's time to take action. Have you heard? The Make Peace with Food event is coming up just around the corner. Make Peace with Food is a 3-day online retreat where we will deep dive into the underlying causes of why you feel compelled to eat foods that you know aren't good for you. This is a beautiful, incredible, intimate experience with other people around the globe who struggle with food and weight, who are ready to get off the diet track and onto a real path of healing. So join me for the upcoming Make Peace with Food event. The tickets are crazy inexpensive right now. We have an early bird price going on. So join me by going to makepeacewithfood.live. Makepeacewithfood.live. Grab your ticket and let's do this.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.